Oh, hello. You caught me. I like to break a mental sweat as opposed to just building and painting model kits, busts, and dioramas. Welcome back to another issue of Out of the Box with Shakey Dave. It has been a damn minute since we've been back with you. And as you know from prior episodes, I like to gather up all types of model kit information, how-tos, articles, books, magazines, from your older stuff to your newer stuff, and to what's happening over the pond. All these books are great. They have articles by a lot of professional and just semi-professional, I guess, but a lot of guys we know and love who we see at the shows, who we're friends with on social media, forums, and so on. One great thing about these how-tos is the beauty shots and learning different flesh techniques, leather techniques, and things like that. However, if, like me, as your building and painting has grown and expanded into dioramas or metals or anything like that, different types of armors, and by armor, I'm not speaking of the vehicle guys with the tanks and so on. I'm speaking of our armor, which is people wearing it. Well, if you're like me and you've expanded to these things, you want to learn how to pull different effects, patinas, rust, corrosion, things like that. Now, these magazines are great, and they do touch on those from time to time. However, like our hobby, these magazines are focused in the figure realm, which is where we are. Now, I started on some of my own little adventure into finding how to do these techniques using certain other products, MIGs, Tamiyas, things like that. And I found when you get into that world of armor and miniatures and vehicles and so on, it gets dizzying in what you can and can't use for what different types of effects you're going for. I could tell you 15 different ways to pull rust techniques. I could tell you 5 different ways for patina techniques, from pastels to washes to coating washes, which is when you apply it more like a paint instead of spots. Different shades and varying things. So, when I was at Wonderfest last year, I went over to the Michigan Toy Soldier table and picked up some of these. These are some of the little grimes and things like that. And guess what? When I went over to their area, my head still spun with just the plethora of products they have to pull off different techniques, from simple to intricate. Well, started looking around on eBay, and I found a magazine that I have right here called the Weathering Magazine. Well, finding it on eBay was quite pricey, quite expensive, and I was a little hesitant. But then I remembered I picked these up from Michigan Toy Soldier, and I follow them on Facebook. Well, I really didn't notice these at the booth, even though they were probably there, but that might have been due to the head-spinning amount of supplies they have. So I checked them out at michtoy.com, Michigan Toy Soldier, just M-I-C-H toy.com. And that is where I discovered that they have this way cheaper than I could find it on eBay. Now, right out of the gate, when I see stuff like this, as a figure modeler, I love the effects, because this tractor, as you can see from this picture, or when you get the magazine, fits in the palm of your hand, but on the cover it truly does look like a real left out in the field tractor that still gets use. I mean, just looking at the cover work for it, the artist here went as far as, yeah, it's been used, but you see the oil filter on it still looks pretty clean. So this is probably the granddad's tractor passed down. Now, my problem is when I go to different model shows, I enjoy the techniques. I enjoy the effects. Do I enjoy the vehicles? Hell no. Vehicles are boring as crap. They're one of the most boring parts of the hobby, but that's just my opinion. Can't help it if I'm right. Figures all the way. But what I do love about these vehicle articles, they are very in-depth. You open it up, it's a simple index. The titles are fairly simple. Abandoned Tractor, Pale Blue Warrior. Pale Blue Warrior is a good one too, because just by looking at it, not only does he pull some good rust effects, but he also does some good paint chalking effects. Like, you know, when things get old and you run your finger and you got the the paint chalk. And then there's even A-Wing Starfighter. So he goes from military to from military to cars to trains to a little bit of everything. But what I really dig about the articles, they're very easy step by step. Here we have the old school, just a couple little drips of paint there, and then you pull down your brush for a streaked effect. I mean, so many effects. We're looking at chipped up paint decals. We're looking at dirt, mud, and that's the thing about dirt. This guy is showing different ways of flecking dirt. They also go into the texture of dirt, which is something we lack. A lot of times we'll just kind of stipple, dry brush some dirt on boots. This magazine is great for showing you how to actually clump some mud up on your character's boots. Rust, patinas, everything you're looking for to bring your figure a little bit closer. They always say that a figure or paint up is really captured in the eyes of the piece. But with the way we paint now, it's also in the flesh, in the depth of your shading, and it's also in the clothing, and it's also in the weathering. Everything here not only looks great, but when you look at the beauty shot photos, they look like real vehicles. Now, my eye is a little more untrained than most for armor and vehicles, so some guys may naysay or nitpick a little harder than me, but I mean, this is just jaw-dropping amazing work. And again, the way the articles are written is they're written in simple steps. So you see the photographs, and simply here you have your steps 5, 6, and 7. So when you do go to MitchToy.com and you're looking at different things, you know, different bottles of these and things like that, it's going to spin your head. Highly recommend just pick up one of these. Now, I'm sure you could have a subscription. I myself personally, I'm probably just going to pick up an issue a year because this has plenty for me to sink my teeth into with my figure kits. Now, if you're watching this and you're not a figure builder, but a ship builder or a car builder, you probably already know about this, so I'm just preaching to the choir. But what I will say, if like me, you went in on that adventure to find these nice little different types of paints and solvents and powders and pigments and pastels and all these different things, but you're a little overwhelmed, so to say, well, this is for you. Pick this up. This is going to show you, oh, well, this is good for that, and that's good for so on and so forth. Again, that's MitchToy.com. They're going to be at Wonderfest this year as well, too. Go check out their, I wouldn't even really call it a booth. It is a setup. And again, they're very helpful there. So if you do get in and start looking around, you're like, holy crap, I'm overwhelmed. Just give the guy an idea of what you're kind of looking for, and he can point you in the right direction for what you need. And thanks again for tuning in. We're Out of the Box with Shakey Dave, produced by Resin Maniacs. We are Resin Maniacs. If you have any questions or comments, hey, throw them out on the board on Facebook. Let's get some hobby talk going with that. Or just send us a question through Messenger on our Facebook page at Resin Maniacs. If you have anything you'd like us to review, please contact us. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And again, what was that old saying again, Norbert? Oh, if we're Resin, tune back in, because who gives a shit?
I said.